My name is Evelyn Harper, and for the last 5 years, I've been living what most folks in Willow Creek, Ohio would call the American dream gone sideways. It's a small town, the kind where everyone knows your business, where the main street still has a hardware store run by the same family for 3 generations, and where the summer air smells like fresh cut grass and barbecue grills firing up on weekends. Will, at 63, after my husband Tom lost his long, painful battle with cancer, I sold our old Victorian house on Maple Street, the one with the wraparound porch where we'd sip lemonade and watch fireflies dance on humid evenings. Downsized to a cozy ranch house in the suburbs. No mortgage hanging over my head, just my Social Security checks coming in like clockwork and Tom's 401k ticking away quietly in the background. A faithful old clock that reminded me of the steady man he was.
I thought I'd spend my golden years gardening in the backyard, tending to my roses that Tom had planted for our 25th anniversary. Volunteering at the local library, where I'd read stories to wide-eyed kids, or maybe even taking that dream cruise down the Ohio River, watching the water sparkle under the sun as the boat chugged along past rolling hills and sleepy towns. But dreams, they have a funny way of getting hijacked, twisted and turned upside down, usually by the people you love most, the ones you'd give your last breath for.
It all started so small, so innocently, like a seed that sprouts unnoticed until it's a full-grown weed choking your garden. My daughter Sarah, 32 and full of that fiery spirit that always made her stand out, moved back home after her messy divorce from that deadbeat musician who'd promised her the stars but delivered nothing but empty beer cans and broken promises. "Mom, I need a fresh start," she said, standing on my doorstep with her suitcase in one hand and those big pleading eyes sparkling just like they did when she was a little girl, begging for one more bedtime story before lights out. How could I say no? I let her crash in the spare room, the one I'd turned into a sewing nook after Tom passed, with its faded floral wallpaper and the quilt I'd made from his old shirts. I paid her phone bill while she job hunted, cooked her favorite meals, pancakes with real maple syrup on Sundays, just like old times, and listened to her vent about her ex over cups of herbal tea late into the night. Then came the big idea, a food truck business. Sarah's always been the dreamer in the family, the one with grand plans that lit up her face like fireworks on the 4th of July. Vegan tacos with an Ohio twist, she said. Farm fresh ingredients from the Amish markets down the road, black beans spiced just right, topped with corn salsa that tasted like summer itself. "It'll be huge, Mom, like those trendy trucks in Austin, but better, with that hometown heart." I co-signed the loan for the truck, $20,000, straight from my savings, money I'd squirreled away from years of pension pennies. Why not? She's my only girl, my baby. Tom's voice echoed in my head from all those years ago. Family first, Ev. Always family first. That truck, Sarah's Spice Wagon, it rolled out to the county fairgrounds every weekend. Parked under shady oaks where families picnicked on checkered blankets. Friday night markets in Willow Creek, where the air buzzed with chatter and the smell of popcorn mixed with her sizzling onions. For a whole year, it hummed along like a well-oiled machine. Sarah posted pics on Instagram almost daily, vibrant rainbow slaw bowls piled high, her in a colorful bandana grinning ear to ear, the truck's logo gleaming in the sunlight. Likes poured in from old high school pals, even some from out-of-state followers who'd stumbled upon her feed. I beamed from the sidelines, feeling like the proudest mom in all of Ohio, wiring her $500 here for propane tanks that kept the grills hot, $300 there for permits that let her set up shop without hassle. "You're killing it, kiddo," I'd text her, my thumbs fumbling a bit on the screen, but my heart full. But then, the pivot hit, like a sudden storm cloud over a clear blue sky. "Mom, Fusion's out. It's all about gourmet grilled cheese now," she announced one evening over dinner, her eyes lighting up again. New menu ideas, new equipment needs, fancy panini presses, artisanal breads from a supplier in Cincinnati, another $8,000 dipped from the 401k. "Just a loan, Mom," she promised, hugging me tight. "I'll pay you back with interest, I swear. This is the one that'll take off." By year 3, though, the truck sat rusting in my driveway like a forgotten relic, its once bright paint peeling under the relentless Ohio rain. "Health department issues," Sarah mumbled one day, avoiding my eyes as she scrolled her phone. That's when Jake entered the picture. Tall, tattooed up his arms with designs that looked like abstract art, a man bun tied neatly, and a bio on his LinkedIn that screamed influencer entrepreneur with buzzwords like disruptor and synergy. They met at a pop-up market in Columbus, where the city's energy pulsed with young hustlers and craft beer stands. "He's got vision, Mom, real vision," Sarah gushed over coffee one morning. "We're launching a lifestyle brand, vegan snacks shipped nationwide, straight to your door." I footed the bill for their loft apartment downtown, right in the heart of the short north with its trendy galleries and coffee shops. $1,200 rent a month, auto-transferred straight from my account without a second thought. Co-signed his credit cards for branding shoots that involve professional photographers and rented studios. Even bought the engagement ring she flashed in her selfies. $2,500 for white gold with a lab-grown diamond that sparkled like hope itself. "Eco-friendly, just like us," she winked, twirling it under the kitchen light. All the while, I was planning their wedding like it was my own second chance at joy, a way to heal the hole Tom left. A backyard affair in my garden under the string lights he'd hung for our 30th anniversary, twinkling like stars against the night sky. I'd save up for a honeymoon fund, $5,000 tucked away in a special envelope in my dresser drawer, dreaming of them lounging on a beach somewhere tropical. Called my sister Ruth in Cleveland every week. "They're tying the knot next summer. Can you come? It'll be just like old times with the whole family." Cleaned the house from top to bottom, polishing the hardwood floors Tom had laid himself, imagining the wedding photos where I'd stand proud, arm linked with my girl, Jake's grin wide as the Buckeye State horizon, everyone laughing and toasting with glasses of sparkling cider. But dreams shatter quieter than you'd think, without thunder or fanfare. It was a Tuesday in June, rain pattering on the roof like forgotten applause from a distant audience. My phone buzzed on the kitchen counter, Sarah's smiling face lighting up the screen. "Mom, quick question. When's a good time for you to swing by Columbus? We need to chat about the wedding date." I perked up instantly, mid-fip of chamomile tea that steamed gently in my favorite mug, the one Tom gave me for Mother's Day years ago. "Oh, honey, I was just thinking about the cake. Carrot with cream cheese frosting, like your absolute favorite from when you were little?" Silence stretched on the line, thick and uncomfortable, like humidity before a storm. Then her voice came through, casual as if she were reading a grocery list. "Actually, surprise! We got hitched yesterday. Vegas, baby. Just us and a couple witnesses. Kept it intimate, you know? Only the VIPs." VIPs. The word landed like a gut punch from an invisible fist, knocking the wind right out of me. I gripped the phone tighter, my knuckles turning white against the receiver. Vegas. Yesterday? But the dress I picked out? The pale blue sundress for the photos? The one with the lace trim that matched your eyes? My voice cracked like old porcelain. But she steamrolled on without missing a beat. Mom, it was spontaneous. Jake's buddy officiated at this kitschy chapel. Elvis impersonator and all, crooning Love Me Tender as we said our vows. Super fun, low key. We'll post pics later, promise. I hung up slowly, my hand trembling, and opened Instagram with numb fingers. There it was, flooding my feed. Sarah in a thrift store veil that fluttered like a ghost. Jake in aviators looking cool and detached, toasting with neon-colored cocktails under flashing lights. Hashtags littered the caption. Hashtag just married. Hashtag vegan vibes. Hashtag Sin City love. Comments rolled in from his crypto bros. Epic dudes. Her college roommate. Goals AF. No mention of me anywhere. No tag, no shout out, no nothing. Just erasure. The dress hung useless in my closet, tags still dangling like unfulfilled promises. $150 down the drain. And the honeymoon fund? They'd already drained it for last-minute flights and a suite with a view, as if my savings were just play money.
I sat there in my kitchen for what felt like hours, the one Tom and I had remodeled with our own hands, sanding cabinets on weekends, laughing over paint splatters, staring blankly at the fridge magnet that said, "Home is where the heart is." But where was my heart now? Shattered into pieces on that cold tile floor. For 5 long years, I'd poured it out. $35,000 by my careful count, tallied in a notebook I kept hidden in a drawer. Social Security stretched thinner than pie crust, 401k whittled down to mere crumbs. I'd skipped my own doctor's appointments to cover her branding emergency bills. Ate ramen noodles from the discount aisle so she could afford those fancy oat milk lattes at hip cafes. And for what? To be deemed not VIP on the most important day of her life, my only child's big moment?
That night, I cried into Tom's old flannel shirt, the one that still faintly smelled of his aftershave after all these years, a mix of pine and warmth, not just for the wedding I'd dreamed of, for the girl I raised on storybooks and strong coffee, teaching her to tie her shoes and ride a bike on these very streets, who now saw me as nothing more than a safety net, a fallback plan, not a mom with feelings and dreams of her own. When had I love you, Mom turned into send $500, Kay, thanks? The tears came hot and fast, soaking the fabric as memories flooded me. Sarah's first steps in this house, her high school graduation where Tom and I cheered the loudest, the way she'd hug me tight after a bad day. How had it all led to this betrayal?
A week later, clarity hit me like black coffee on an empty stomach. Strong, bitter, but awakening. I'd spent those days in a fog, replaying the phone calls, scrolling through the Vegas photos until my eyes burned. Sarah called again, her voice syrupy sweet over the line, like she'd rehearsed it in front of a mirror. "Mom, hey, the truck lease is up and the landlord's really breathing down our necks about it. Forgot the auto pay or something? Can you wire $2,000 by Friday? Pretty please, with a cherry on top?" There was a tremble in her tone, like the world's ending over a stack of Gouda melts, her desperation seeping through the phone. I paused for a long moment, staring at the bank statement I'd printed out the night before, the numbers glaring back in black and white. $35,420.17 exactly. Rent transfers every month like clockwork, loan cosigns that tied my credit to their whims, gifts for Jake's drone footage that captured their brand from above, all pulled from the nest egg meant for my sunset years, the one Tom had built brick by brick with his overtime shifts. "Sarah," I said finally,
my voice steady as Ohio steel, forged in the fires of quiet Midwestern resilience. Didn't I tell you? I only help VIPs now.
Dead air hung on the line, thick as fog rolling off the river. Then her voice cracked. "Mom? What? That's not funny at all. We're family. Come on, you know we need this." Lies, all of them sugar-coated and sticky. The same manipulative voice that had begged for the ring, the loft deposit, the spontaneous Vegas escape that left me out in the cold. I hung up without another word, my heart pounding, not with fear anymore, but with a fierce, burning fire that had been smoldering for too long. The next morning, I rose with the sun, the first rays filtering through my kitchen curtains like a promise of change. I drove to the bank in Dayton, First National, the brick building where Tom and I had opened our joint account back in '92 when life felt full of possibilities. Mr. Hargrove, the branch manager with his kind eyes and neatly trimmed mustache, knew my face from every monthly transfer I'd made without fail. "Mrs. Harper, the usual for Sarah today?" His friendly smile faded when I shook my head firmly. "No, Frank. Cancel it all. The automatic payments, the joint access privileges, and I need some advice on elder fraud protection, if you have it." His eyes widened with genuine worry, not the performative kind Sarah doled out when she wanted something. "Everything okay, Ev? You look like you've been through the ringer." I spilled it all right there in his small office, the words tumbling out like a dam breaking. The secret wedding in Vegas, the endless money trail that had drained me dry, the gut-wrenching betrayal that left me feeling like a fool. He nodded thoughtfully, his pen scratching across forms as he processed the cancellations. "You've been a rock for that girl, Ev, solid as they come. But it's time to be your own rock now." As the papers were signed and stamped, my phone lit up relentlessly. Sarah calling, then Jake, then Sarah again with frantic texts popping up. "Mom, pick up!" I powered it off completely, slipping it into my purse. For the first time in years, I felt light. Like shrugging off a soaked wool coat after a downpour, the weight lifting from my shoulders as I stepped out into the crisp air. That afternoon, I took a walk in the neighborhood park, my first one in ages without a quick errand tied to them. No rushing to the store for ingredients Sarah forgot or wiring money for some crisis. Ducks quacked lazily on the pond, their feathers ruffling in the breeze, and kids laughed on the swings, their joy infectious and pure. Memories flooded in waves. Sarah at 5, pigtails flying wildly as she pumped her legs higher and higher, squealing, "Push me, Mommy, higher!" When had those innocent pushes turned into endless financial payoffs, demands that pulled me down instead? At the library later that day, my volunteer shift stacking books and helping patrons find their next read, I confided in Gladys, the head librarian, another widow like me with silver hair pinned back and eyes that had seen their share of stories. "Sounds like elder financial abuse to me, Evelyn, plain and simple. Ever hear of AARP's hotline? They've got resources for this exact thing." She pulled up websites on her ancient computer, printing out pamphlets on Ohio statutes for exploitation, free legal clinics in Columbus. "You're not alone in this, hun, not by a long shot. Join our senior support group. It meets Thursdays at the community center. Bunch of us gals who've been through the mill." That night, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky in oranges and pinks, uninvited guests shattered the fragile peace.
3 cars pulled into my driveway with the crunch of gravel, Sarah's beat-up Prius with its faded bumper stickers, Jake's borrowed F-150 truck gleaming under streetlights, and a sleek black sedan with Ohio plates that screamed lawyer from a mile away. Keys jangled in the lock. They had copies I'd given them years ago for emergencies, back when trust flowed freely. I peeked through the lace curtains Tom had hung, my heart racing, Sarah pacing back and forth on the porch like a caged animal, Jake scrolling his phone with that detached look, and a slick guy in chinos and a tie, flipping through my mail on the kitchen table as if he owned the place.
I stepped inside, my voice amplified by years of bottled-up frustrations and unread storybooks gathering dust. What's this little intervention you've cooked up? They froze in place, staring at me like I was the intruder in my own home, the air thick with tension. Sarah rushed forward, her eyes brimming with crocodile tears that looked rehearsed. "Mom, thank God you're here. We need to talk, like right now. This is Mr. Ellis from Ellis & Associates, specializes in family law matters."
Mr. Ellis extended a manicured hand, his smile too polished, like a used car salesman's. "Mrs. Harper, pleased to meet you. Your daughter and son-in-law are deeply concerned about you. These sudden financial changes, cutting off family support, they could be signs of cognitive decline, perhaps even early dementia." Jake chimed in, his words sounding like they'd been pulled from a script. "Yeah, Mom, you've been so distant lately, not answering our calls, acting all weird. We think maybe you need some help managing things, for your own good."
Help. The word twisted in my gut like a bad plot twist in one of those mystery novels I loved. I snatched my mail from Ellis's grasp, papers crumpling slightly. My house, my papers, my decisions. Out, all of you. Sarah grabbed my arm with that fake tenderness she reserved for manipulation. "Mom, please. The stress at your age. Confusion's normal. Loneliness can do that to a person, make them push away the ones who love them most." Confusion? The laugh that bubbled up from deep inside was bitter as burnt toast left too long in the oven. Confusion is thinking your own mother is an endless ATM machine, like funding your spontaneous Vegas vows while I sat here planning a beautiful garden party, complete with string lights and family toasts. Ellis slid a thick folder across the table, his voice smooth as oil. "Power of attorney forms, ma'am. Just temporary until you stabilize. It'll make things efficient for everyone involved. No more worries." I flipped it open briefly, then shut it with a snap and tossed it straight into the recycling bin by the door. The only efficiency here is you 3 heading out that door before I call the neighbors. Jake's face soured like a kid denied his favorite candy at the checkout. "Mom, come on! We've got bills piling up. The lease you co-signed for the loft, the truck payments that are overdue. You can't just ghost us like this." Ghost? That's exactly what you did to me on your wedding day, treating me like I didn't exist. Ellis cleared his throat importantly. "Mrs. Harper, families have legal rights in these situations. If impairment's suspected, we can pursue options to protect you and your assets." Impairment. The rage ignited then, hot and unyielding. Impairment is a 32-year-old woman still leaning on her 68-year-old mother for grilled cheese dreams and loft lifestyles. Out, all of you, now. They slunk away slowly, their dignity dented like a fender bender on a country road. Sarah's parting shot from the porch. "This isn't over, Mom. We have
options and we'll use them if we have to." The door shut with a satisfying click, and the silence that followed was golden, wrapping around me like a warm blanket. I changed the locks that very night. A quick run to the hardware store, $200 well spent on peace of mind.
But the war, it was just beginning, brewing like a thunderstorm on the horizon. The days blurred into a relentless siege, each one bringing new barrages. Voicemails flooded my inbox. Sarah's tearful pleas, "I miss you so much, Mom. Let's have dinner soon, just us." Jake's gruff demands, "Bills are due. Fix this mess you started." Texts pinged at all hours, "How much for the truck payoff?" I blocked their numbers one by one, a small act of rebellion that felt monumental. Joined Gladys's support group at the community center, a circle of 5 women, all battle-scarred from similar wars. Betty, whose son had drained her IRA for his poker debts in Vegas of all places. Lorraine, who fought off a guardianship attempt over her hoarding of yarn for knitting blankets for the homeless. We met in a cozy room smelling of fresh coffee and empathy, sharing stories late into the evening. "Document everything, Evelyn," they chorused over cookies and tea. "Ohio's got strong laws. Elder abuse is felony territory here. No joke." Next stop was the legal aid office in Columbus, a pro bono setup in a no-frills building downtown, smelling of strong coffee and the faint tang of determination. Attorney Miss Patel, sharp as a tack with her bob haircut and no-nonsense glasses, listened intently as I laid out my tale. "You've got a solid case here, Evelyn. Coercion, undue influence, the works. We'll file for repayment through a civil suit and get a protection order in place." We tallied it all together, $35K plus in what I'd naively called gifts, but were really loans in disguise. Bank records stacked high, Venmo transaction histories like a digital paper trail. Even Instagram geotags proving the Vegas jaunt was funded on my dime while I sat home alone. But they struck first, hard and fast. A certified letter arrived in the mail, its envelope thick and official looking. Petition for conservatorship. Evelyn Harper, exhibiting erratic behavior, abrupt financial withdrawal without cause, paranoia evidenced by new security cameras, alienation from family via a support group cult. Paranoia? I'd only installed those cams after their unannounced visit, a practical step in a world gone mad. Alienation? From the very people who'd alienated me first? The court date loomed large on the calendar. Franklin County Courthouse, 2 months out, giving me time to prepare like a general mapping out battle lines. I underwent a geriatric psych evaluation with Dr. Ellis, no relation to the slimy lawyer, a kind woman in her 50s who put me through tests of memory and reasoning. Cognitive score 95th percentile for your age, she beamed at the end, handing me the report. "You're sharp as a young whip, Evelyn. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." Witnesses lined up like soldiers. Gladys from the library, Mr. Hargrove with his bank logs, even the food truck landlord who grumbled. She co-signed fair and square, but that girl bit off more than she could chew with her pivots. Meanwhile, the sabotage crept in like weeds in my garden. A fake Yelp review popped up on my side gig profile. I tutored English online to local kids. Unstable tutor, rants about family drama mid-lesson. Sarah's handiwork, traced back to her IP address through a friend's tech-savvy son. Then came the knock from APS.
Adult Protective Services, tipped off by concerned Ken with a scripted report. Social worker Miss Ruiz stood on my porch, clipboard in hand, and a sympathetic smile. We've had reports of isolation and financial mismanagement, ma'am. Mind if I come in? I invited her inside calmly, offering tea from my china set, and laid out the evidence. Pristine bank statements, glowing psych eval reports, photos from the support group showing laughter and camaraderie. Mismanagement? Try enabling a grown woman for too long. My daughter's 32. It's high time she managed her own grilled cheese empire. Ms. Ruiz nodded thoughtfully, closing her file with a snap. You're clear-headed and independent as they come. Case dismissed, no further action needed. But the toll weighed heavy. Sleepless nights staring at the ceiling, doubting my own spine, wondering if I'd been too soft for too long. One midnight, as rain tapped against the window like insistent fingers, Tom's photo on the mantel seemed to whisper through the shadows. Fight for you, Ev. You've earned it. I picked up the phone and called Ruth, my sister, her voice groggy but warm from Cleveland. Sis, they talked about the future like I was already gone, when Mom's nest egg finally hatches for us. Ruth's fury cut through the line like lightning. About damn time you nested for yourself, Evelyn. Don't let them clip your wings any longer. Trial day arrived under a gray October sky, leaves crunching under my sensible pumps as I walked up the courthouse steps, my heart a mix of nerves and steel. The building buzzed with activity, lawyers in suits rushing past, echoes of gavels from distant rooms. Inside, Sarah sat in boho chic attire, fiddling with her veil necklace, Jake fidgeting beside her, and Ellis Sr. smirking from the plaintiff's gable. Their opening statement spun a web. A devoted daughter seeks to protect her vulnerable mother from bad influences and poor decisions. Witnesses took the stand. Sarah with her waterworks performance. She's changed so much. Cold, distant, pushing us away. Jake's bluster. We just want to help her, that's all. Even the landlord twisted facts. Yeah, she paid up, but that withdrawal was sudden, erratic-like. Then it was my turn on the stand. Miss Patel guided me gently. Mrs. Harper, can you tell the court why you decided to cut off the financial support? I took a deep breath, my voice clear and unwavering. Because love isn't a ledger book full of debits and credits. I raised Sarah to fly on her own wings, solo, independent, but she clipped mine instead, draining $35,000 for food trucks that rusted, lofts that echoed empty, and Vegas vows where I wasn't even a VIP in my own daughter's life. That's not family, that's fraud, pure and simple. Cross-examination from Ellis tried to trip me. Paranoid much with those new cameras and blocked calls? Protected, I shot back, from break-ins, beggars, and betrayal. The rebuttal crushed their case like a house of cards in a breeze. Bank logs proved the transfers were voluntary until I wisened up and stopped them. Dr. Ellis testified to my prime mental state. Gladys added, Evelyn's sharper than ever. She's leading our book club on boundaries and self-care now. Judge Harlan, a no-nonsense Ohioan with a gravelly voice, delivered the verdict. Petition denied in full. Sanctions on the petitioners for this frivolous filing. Repayment ordered. $35,000 plus interest and court costs. They stormed out of the courtroom. Sarah's glare as cold as ice on the Ohio River. Jake muttering under his breath, You'll regret this one day. But I didn't. Not for a second. I felt whole again. Like pieces of myself I'd lost were finally clicking back into place.
6 months later, Willow Creek whispers my name, not with pity, but with quiet pride and admiration. That $35K repayment? It's trickled back in drips and drabs. They're scraping by now. Jake driving Uber through the night shifts, Sarah slinging lattes at a downtown cafe, learning the hard way what real work feels like. The rest of the funds? I seeded Harper's Haven, my own vintage shop right on Main Street, filled with antiques and upcycled gems, Tom's old tools repurposed as quirky decor, even Sarah's abandoned truck axle turned into a rustic shelf for displaying handmade soaps from local artisans. From nests emptied to treasures reclaimed, reads the hand-painted sign above the door, swinging gently in the breeze. Mornings start with coffee and chats at Gladys's group, plotting group cruises down the river or day trips to Amish country. Afternoons are for mentoring at the library, guiding young dreamers on real bootstraps, not endless bailouts, sharing stories of resilience over stacks of books. Evenings find me in the garden, under those faithful string lights, alone but truly alive for the first time in years. Ruth visits monthly now. We sip wine on the porch and plot our own adventures. A riverboat shot next spring, perhaps. Sarah texts sometimes, sporadic and tentative. Sorry, Mom, hard times here. Can we talk? No immediate reply from me. Forgiveness? Maybe someday when the wounds have scarred over properly. But first, I forgive myself for thinking love was a loan to be repaid in affection that never came. Turns out the best nests are built solo, feather by feather, then shared on your own terms with people who value you for you. If this story hit home for you, drop a comment below. What would you do in my shoes? Like and subscribe for more tales from the Heartland, straight from the heart. With love from Ohio, Evelyn. Until next time, keep building your own nest.